right. So, mm, all right. Now, in numbers, basically, what happens, we are then going to have four different kinds of numbers which we are going to be dealing with. So, first one, which you have now learned already and which you are familiar with, is then called as the cardinal numbers in English, and in German also we call it as Kardinalzahl. Okay, so we're going to have Kardinalzahl. Now, when you then come to the next one is then going to be called as Ordinalzahl. So you have Kardinalzahl, which is going to be simple numbers like 1 and 2 and 3 and so forth. Now we're coming to what is called as Ordinalzahl. Even in English, we call this as ordinal numbers. Ordinal numbers are then going to be those which are then coming as first, second, third, fourth, and so forth. So you're going to get them coming in sequence. Numbers coming in sequence. The difference is that we are going to, in the written form, we are then going to say erster, zweiter, dritter, vierter, and so forth. So if you remember, what we have then done earlier, we have said that you've got key letters. The first one we said is going to be same. Then we said there's going to be a sich. Then we said there's going to be an und. Now that system continues. What is it that is then going to happen? So apart from the first three, which are going to be a slight variation is going to be there, it is then going to be TE is then going to be the one which is going to come. So your key word, key letters are then going to be T. So you say vier, vierter, fünf, fünfter. Continue, please. Sechs.
Yep. Sechster.
Yeah.
Siebter.
Yeah. Sieben, siebter.
Sieben, siebter.
So
Acht.
it goes on until you reach 19. At 20, it then changes. What is then going to come is you're going to then add an S over here. So it is then going to be zwanzigster. It is then going to be zwanzigster. And from there it continues till forever for the rest of it. So you're then going to have a STE, STE, and STE, and so forth for the rest of it. Okay. This is then going to, so this has been arranged in a sort of a sequence over here. So you have cardinal numbers over here, and you're having these ones over here. So this is then called the ordinal sum. Now here there is one more that you have to then learn. What is it going to be? That when you are coming with the numbers, so when you are writing in numbers, say today is the 13th of July. So how do I write 13th? In English we use ST, ND, and TH and all that. Here we use a simple point, a full stop. We just say 13. Juli. This is how the written form comes. And you are going to then say 13. 13. And you're going to add an N. 13. Juli. 13th of July. Heute ist den 13. Juli. Today is the 31st of July. 13th of July.
Here in spellings, they wrote only the right and they don't have N at the end.
This is something which is called as cases, which we have not started. Okay. Certain things, when I tell you, you just assume that it is so and you then start using it in that. When it comes to date, you will always be having an N at the end. So,
okay.
So like when you're talking about the 1st of July, you will say ersten Juli, zweiten Juli, dritten Juli. So This is then going to be having what is called as a case, and this is always then going to be coming in the something called as accusative. So we're going to put it in the N over here.
Okay.
It's got to do with gender. So this is then going to be with gender. So you've completed now ordinal numbers. The next one, which is then going to come, is going to be, as in German, we're then going to call it as Bruchsal. In German, we're calling it as Bruchsal. And here, in the case of English, we simply say fractional numbers. Bruchsal is going to be fractional numbers. Here again, it is all about, it's going to be all about key letters again. So it's going to be also very easy. All they're going to do is, when it is then going to be 1 by 2, you are going to then say halb. Okay, this is the only one which is going to vary. You're going to have halb. After this one, everything else is going to follow. We're going to follow a keyword. The keyword is then going to be L. So when you say 1/3, you are going to say drittel. Okay, 1/4 is then going to be viertel. 1/5 is then going to be fünftel. So the L is then going to be your key. Clear so far?
Yeah.
Very difficult. So when you are having a different fraction, like you say 2/5. Okay, suppose you have 2/5, then you're going to say 2/5, 3/5, 4/5. So you're going to put it like that. That's it. There is nothing else to it. So if you want to say 3/4, you will then say 3/4.
Okay.
Now, we clear all this one. We come to the concept of telling time in German. But before I take you there, I have to give you two important words. So I have to give you two words. The one more we need to complete, that is then going to be the decimal numbers. So what is so special about decimal numbers? You've already been in Germany.
So we, 1 second, we call it decimal here or decimal?
Decimal.
Okay.
Decimal.
Okay.
Decimal. So effectively, it is going to be dets.
Yeah.
Then mal. Decimal.
Okay.
Okay. Now, coming to the decimal numbers, you have been in Germany for some years. So do you remember what decimal numbers, what is the difference between English and German decimal numbers?
No.
So if I then say my bank balance today is 1,234.56. Okay. In German, it is going to be the exact opposite. I'm then going to put comma 56.
Yeah, this one I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is then going to be the opposite of what we have. So this, since you know about it, I will not explain further about it.
On the pronunciation, is it going to be any different? And how do we denote if it is a decimal?
So when you come to the question of the decimal, here you're going to say 1,234.56. Here we're going to say 1,234,56.
Okay.
Comma 56.
Okay.
So anything coming after the comma is the actual decimal according to these guys.
Okay.
So that is one major difference between them and us. Now we're going to learn a couple of words, only a couple of words. And what is this couple of words then going to be? The couple of words is then going to be, here we come and we shall then, one is then going to be 4. One is going to be 4, which is then going to be equivalent to before, or actually 2. And the other one is then going to be nach, which is then going to be equivalent to after past or after. Okay. We are now also going to draw a picture of the face of a clock. So here we are. This is then going to be the face of the clock over here. We're going to divide it into quarters. We're going to divide it into quarters. Now, having divided into quarters, obviously I'm also then going to say quarter, half, and 3/4. Okay. Now, first thing, there are some things which we are going to learn, and we shall call these as Germanisms, or going to be specific to Germany. They're going to be specific to Germany. It's a cultural ingrained one. So you are learning the psyche of the German, basically. So like now you will not say wie ist dein Name? You're going to say wie heißt du? Wie heißt du? That is the German way of doing it. You don't do it any other way. If it is a question of what's your profession, you don't say was ist dein Profession. You are then going to say was sind Sie von Beruf? So there is a peculiar, this one which we are going to be giving it. So example, let us then say Telugulo I will ask, ఏమండి మీ హాబీస్ ఏంటండి?
Yeah, learning German for now.
అట్లా కాదు, తెలుగులో మీరు జవాబు ఇవ్వాలి.
Okay.
అంటే జర్మన్
నేర్చుకోవడం.
సో జర్మన్ నేర్చుకోవటం, పుస్తకాలు చదవటం. So you will, when you come to German, you will find that it is closer to you, to your mother tongue, than it is to the English language. So in English, you're going to say, my hobbies are playing football, reading books. So you put the verb first, and then you are in the continuous form, and then you're putting your hobby. In Telugu, we're putting the hobby first, and then we're then giving the verb at the last. So the same thing happens. So mein Hobbys sind Bücher lesen, Fußball spielen. Okay, so you're going to put the verb at the end of that. So they're going to be similar. So here also, now this one is going to be more like English when you then come to the question of telling time in German. You know the numbers already. And one of the Germanisms that you're going to learn is when it is now 7:30. So like now in another few minutes, it's going to be 6:30. So when it's going to be 6:30, normally you and I would say 6:30. So in half past 6. In German, they're going to say 6:30. 6:30. So yeah, it's going to be, so 6:30 is then going to be given as
4.
No, there's no 4 or nach.
Okay.
No 4 or no nach. You're only going to say 6:30. Okay, so this is going to be 6:30. Now 7:30 is going to be 7:30. No 4, no nach, nothing. You don't mention what is the hour, what is the minute, nothing is mentioned. Okay, now when you are then coming here, the time now is about approximately 6:20. So at 6:20, how am I then going to give the time? I have to say, what's the time right now? It's 20 past 6. 20 past 6. So 20 nach 6. 20 nach 6. Okay? Right. So this is then going to be the way in which you're going to use the nach and the form. A little while ago, it was 6:15. So at 6:15, what are we then going to say? Viertel nach 6. Whenever we are giving these kind of pronunciations, what is then the announcements? We are not mentioning what is the hour and what is the minute. Apparently, it seems to be understood that we're all on the same wavelength. And we simply say 6:15. or we then say 20 past 6. Right. Now, we then come to the question of the for business. Okay, so you were waiting for me when I was coming online. So what would we then say? So maybe you were waiting at 5:45 or so if you're waiting from 5:45, it is then going to be 5:45. So you're going to say Viertel vor 6. Okay, 5:45. So if you're going to have then, if you're waiting from, let us say 5:50, you would then say 10 vor 6.
Yes.
4 6. So it's a fairly simple concept, nothing very difficult about it. When it is exactly on the hour, we have a tendency, both in English mainly, to then say, oh, this is
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. We have our class at 6 o'clock. We are going to finish at 7 o'clock. O'clock. So this o'clock business is then going to become Uhr in the case of German. So o'clock in English, o'clock is Uhr in German. The problem is that Uhr also happens to mean Gadiyaram. Kit with the Gadiyaram, bottom with the Gadiyaram, table with the Gadiyaram, Anni Adikadana Uhr Anni Chaptam. So it is universally used not only for telling the time as o'clock, but also Gadiyaram in the Telugu equivalent. So we are then going to say as is in the Ayudantling. So we're going to then say 5 o'clock. Es ist 5 Uhr. Es ist 6 Uhr. Es ist 7 Uhr. So here after this, what happens when somebody is at a somewhat use it for a quasi accurate kind of a thing. When say, for example, what time is the bus leaving from here? Oh, you have one at 8:12, then 8:17, then at 8:23. Oh, so you got 3 buses. They're going to put it as the time like that. In English, we're going to say 10 Uhr 12, 8 Uhr 10, 8 Uhr 12, 8 Uhr 17, 8 Uhr 23. So we've got to give an impression of as Uhr and then going to give the time in that format over there.
Okay.
But however, it is not a real accurate one. The real accuracy comes only in the 24-hour format, because even in this format, there's still an ambiguity about what is then going to be your actual, the real time, so to speak. So it is then going to be the 24-hour format is the real one. So here, when you are using all the things which you have learned up till now, like for and nach and viertel, and dreiviertel, and all these things are going to disappear. Every single blessed thing is going to disappear. We are only then going to use the format as is 18 Uhr 30, as is 18 Uhr 45. Even the viertel and nach and all that will not be utilized. Viertel, halb and all that. So you don't then say halb 20 Uhr for saying that it is going to be 7:30. You don't say halb 20. It is then going to be, you have to then say 19 Uhr 30. Okay, so the 24-hour format is hopefully also clear to you. I think you seem to be already grasping it, so there's nothing much beyond this to tell you. So real accurate is going to be in the 24-hour format, where we then don't have to explain morning or evening. So let's meet at 8 o'clock, morning or evening. So when you then give the you're going to then say 8 Uhr 9, then it is going to be clear. Or 20 Uhr 9 is also going to be clear. Okay. Right. Now, here we go. I'm not getting a suitable one, which is going to be, they're all giving exact quarters and halves and all that. Okay, I'll do one thing. Just close this for a minute. Clear this over here. And we shall make this over here and then come down and then. Okay, right. Right, here we are, ready to go. Now,
Yeah.
Yes, you have a question?
No.
Chapandi?
But in 24-hour format or 12-hour format?
Repeat.
Should we tell this in 24-hour format or 12-hour format?
The 12-hour format is the usual day-to-day kind of a thing.
Okay.
24-hour format is used for aeroplanes, for buses, trains, trams, and so forth. Television shows, radio timings. They are then going to give you the 24-hour format. We should be familiar with both, as simple as that. Okay, now when you're asking time, you then obviously, this is the methodology. You're going to then say, wie spät ist es, or you're going to then say, wie viel Uhr ist es? Repeat.
Wie spät ist es?
Yes.
Wie viel Uhr ist es?
Okay, wonderful. Right. Now, come to the first clock which you are seeing on the left side. What is the time that you see here?
It is 11:05. So 5 nach 11.
Absolutely correct. Next one.
It is 3:10. So 1. 10 nach 3.
10 nach 3. Okay, if you are then giving it in the 24-hour format, it is then going to be 15 Uhr 10.
Okay.
Now, what about on here?
It is 10:15. So 15, I don't remember.
15 is going to be quarter.
Quarter, yeah.
So you will then say Viertel nach 10.
Okay, Viertel. 1/4, okay, yeah. Viertel nach 10.
This, you're then going to say Viertel nach 10.
Yeah, Viertel nach 10.
Yeah. All right. And then you have a concept, because of the concept of halb, which we have introduced in German. Quite a few people, when they come to this time, this kind of a timing here, you can say 6 Uhr 20. You can also say, what do you call, 20 nach 6. You can say 10 vor halb 7.
Okay.
10 vor halb 7. 5 vor halb 7. Halb 2. This is 5 vor halb 8. 5 vor halb 8. This is then going to be kurz nach halb 1. Kurz nach halb 1. You're going to use a form of, say, ఇప్పుడు మామూలుగా మనకి ఇక్కడ మన దేశంలో ఇక్కడ ఎవరన్నా వచ్చేసి టైం ఏమిటంటే ఆల్మోస్ట్ 7:30 అయిందంటాం, లేకపోతే 7:30 కావస్తుందంటాం. 7:30 होने वाला है. We're not going to be accurate. So 11 बज गया है. So a little bit after. So we use in German also, we use some words which we are then going to then say is going to be something like kurz. Kurz is then going to be short. So kurz nach 11 is shortly after 11.
Okay.
Kurz vor halb 8. A little bit before half 8. Okay. So kurz nach halb 1. Shortly after this one. So you can use the word is used when you're going to be pretty accurate. Okay, wir wollen uns um Viertel nach 10 treffen. We want to meet at 10:15.
Okay. Can you repeat that sentence?
Which one, son?
With the with the usage of
With the
usage of
Wir treffen uns 10, Viertel nach 10. 10 Uhr, Viertel nach 10, halb 11, halb 11, we're going to use. At. We shall meet at.
Okay.
Is also going to be around, or there give. It's also have a slight this one. Herum. It is then going to be is around and around the edge. So it's a tongue twister in the German language. Right. So here we clear this one, and you can then see the ones which are there. So 5 nach 11 and then 10 nach 3 and so forth. Okay. So 5 vor halb 8. So this is what I was telling you. 5 nach halb 1 and so forth.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Now we are then going to see among the things that we are supposed to then be learning on how to do is we are going to learn about listening also. See, our vocabulary is not going to come only from this one, but also from this what we call listening also. Now.
31, 45, 10, 31, 9, 12, 1.
Okay, that's better. Now, here you have your first listening opportunity. So this, you're going to have 5 numbers being dictated to you. So it is, for the first reading, please close your eyes and focus on what is being said. Don't try to write anything down. The second time, you can then listen and write. And the third time, confirm that what has been given is exactly the same as what you have written down. So here we begin. 3, 2, 1. Let me make this a little bit. Yeah, okay.
22, 3, 45, 10, 31.
That was the first time. Second time.
22, 3, 45, 10, 31.
And the last time.
22, 3, 45, 10, 31.
Okay. So what is it that you were able to hear? Number 1.
22, 3, 45, 10 and 31.
Absolutely great. Fantastic. All right. Now, here is the second set of numbers. So this is then going to be the second set. 3, 2, 1, start.
9, 12, 100.
Sorry, I think there was some issue with my audio. Can you start again?
94.
Yeah, 1 second. I will play it with the other one. Yeah, this means this is originally supposed to be with the different player. And when it comes to this, it is going to give us a problem. So,
Neun, 12, 100,
no. Yeah.
9, 12, 100, 78, 94,
Okay. One more time.
9, 12, 100, 78, 94.
Yeah. 9, 12, 100, 78, 94.
Perfect. So that means you're fairly quite used to the German numbers, basically. That's quite okay. All right. That's good for you.
In this A1 book, do we have some audio?
Which one?
In this A1 workbook. So if I look at the second page, so is there some audio to understand how they spell?
You mean this one, the questions?
Yeah, even the questions are, I think if you go to next
No,
page.
you do not have anything here.
Okay.
You're going to learn this over here right now. So just like where there is light, there is shadow. Where there is a statement, there is going to be a question. So this was the one where you have last time learned about a self-introduction. So when you want to know somebody's name, how are you going to then find out? What is the question you will ask?
Wie heißen du? Wie heißen du?
Wie heißt du?
Wie heißt du? Okay.
It is going to change the form. It is then going to be wie heißt
du.
Yeah. So that is then going to be the one. That is the next step that we are going to be taking up. The formation of verbs. Out of all the various parts of speech which we are having, the only one which changes its form is going to be the verb. And the formation, the change in the verb is going to be brought about by two factors. One, it is then going to be brought about by the personal pronoun. The other is then going to be brought about by the tense in which it is being used. So here when I say ish, I say heise. If I say du, I'm then going to say heist. Okay, and so it is then going to be du heist. So ish heist, wie heißt du? Wie heißt du? Wie heißen sie? Okay. Next one. Ich wohne. So now.
Yeah, ich wohne in Hyderabad.
Okay. So what is the question which will then come for that? How would you ask this? Wo wohnen?
Okay, where do you live?
Where do you live? So we had learnt about questions last time. There are 7 questions, and we're going to use these to then get to wherever we want to then come. So it's going to be ich, wo wohnen Sie? Then ich bin. So now ich bin has got a whole lot of stuff. You can then say, what are you by profession? So what is your profession? What do you do? So we don't then generally hear this the Germanism coming up over here. We're then going to use the words was sind Sie von Beruf? Was sind Sie von Beruf?
Was sind Sie von Beruf?
Yeah. So what are you by profession? What are you by profession? It's a peculiar way of asking, but that is the German equivalent of it. So now this is then going to be was sind Sie von Beruf? So now if I ask you, was sind Sie von Beruf? What are you then going to answer?
Ich bin Software Engineer.
Okay, right. Then, woher kommen Sie? Where do you come from?
Oh, woher? Okay, where do you?
చెప్పాను wo అంటే ఎక్కడ
Yeah, woher, wohin.
ఇక్కడ నుంచి and ఎక్కడికి wohin is ఎక్కడికి
Aus Indian. Aus India.
That is going to be this one. Now, right. So it is then going to be, so ich komme aus Indien. You don't say India. The German name for India is then going to be Indian.
Indian.
So
Okay.
you're going to say ich komme aus Indien. Okay. Right.
Ich komme aus India. Indian.
Yeah. Here you can now see this one, so that the play of the masculine and the feminine. Now here it then says wie ist Ihr Familienname? Ihr is indicative that this is going to be either masculine or neutral. So Name is then, if you go and check it out in vocabularies and in Lingua, you're going to find that this is then going to be a feminine and masculine. It's going to be masculine. Der Name. So you're going to then say, wie ist Ihr Familienname? So what is your surname? So one of the things that you have to learn very, very much is then going to be the spelling of your name and your surname. So spelling is then called as the Buchstabieren. Buchstabieren. Buchstabieren is then going to be to spell. So Buchstabieren Sie Ihre Name. Ihr Name. So please spell your name. So now, wie ist Ihr Familienname? Tell me.
Winter.
No. You must try to give a complete one. You will say mein Familienname.
Okay, mein Familienname ist Winter.
Winter. Könnten Sie das bitte buchstabieren? Could you please then?
Yeah, V.
Yes.
V. E.
Yeah.
N.
Yeah.
T. A. Sorry. A.
Yeah, that is right. Okay, right. Now, it is then going to be like this. Okay, now, next one. So, wie ist Ihr Telefonnummer? Was ist Ihr Telefonnummer? When I say Ihre, what does it tell you?
It is a female.
It's a feminine one. So
yeah.
Numbers are going to be feminine. So was ist Ihre Telefonnummer?
Meine Telefonnummer ist.
Meine Telefonnummer ist.
Okay, meine Telefonnummer ist 99668 11100.
Okay, right. Now, what you should also get used to doing is saying it in pairs. Because in the German, this one, we have a tendency to do it in pairs to avoid any kind of a confusion. It is probably, they believe it is clearer if you give it in this way. So ambiguity is less and you don't may have much repetition. So now repeat your number, 99.
99.
Continue. 66.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. 99, 66, 81, 11,
0.
Okay.
That's right. So if you happen to have also 01 or something like that, you would say 01.
Okay.
Right. So these are then going to be the methodology over here. What we then slowly realize is we require verbs in this one to be able to help us in the formation of sentences. So this is something which we have to then, we are going to have to learn how to then do it. Now, so this is, so we then require some kind of a response over here. Now, back to this one. Now, since we require verbs, we are now going to get an introduction to verbs today.
Okay.
In this one, you see, we have already discovered that nouns and verbs are going to be the most important ones that we are going to be requiring. So when you come to the question of verbs, here is an overview. We have basically two kinds of verbs. One is then going to be auxiliary verbs. Okay. The other one is then going to be called, so we have strong verbs and we have got weak verbs. Strong verbs are also called as irregular verbs, and weak verbs are then called as regular verbs. Regular verbs and weak verbs, as you can see, are then going to be in the thousands.
Okay.
Right. So now one moment. Now, so they are then going to be basically in two categories. The one which we are calling as irregular verbs are then going to be divided into subcategories. So obviously, when they are divided into subcategories, each one of them has got separate characteristics which are then going to make them come like that. So we will learn more about it at a later date, how these things are then going to be working together. Right. So we are now going to take one irregular verb and one regular verb to understand what the difference is and the difference over here. So first one, we do it in English, and then we will to make the understanding. Here, when you are then going to take, say for example, we take the word maken, which is then going to be to make. So when you are then having a verb, when you are then doing the conjugation for this one, it's then going to have I, you, he, she, it, then we, and the you and this one. Okay, these are the basic forms what you're going to be having. Now, you are then going to say I am, and you're then going to say you are, and then you're going to say he is. So you see that each one of them is going to be different from the other. And this is the parent. What is the parent then going to be? The parent is then going to be to be. If you look at the to be, then none of them have any kind of a resemblance to the original. Okay. Now, from here, we then go down. Now, when we are then coming here, what do you then find? You're going to use the word to make. Okay. Now, I am is then going to become ich bin. Sorry, to make. To make. I make. Then you're going to say you make. He makes. Then we make. Then you make. So, no matter which form you go to, the make is going to be uniform throughout, including in the original content. So, the original verb is also going to be identical. So, this is the difference between an irregular verb and this one here. So, here it continues like this. We are, and then you're going to have you are. So the plural forms are going to then come over here. Right. So this is an irregular verb, this is a regular verb, and this is how the forms are then going to change according to the personal pronoun. In German, it is going to be more marked than this, and we shall then, today, we shall have a look at it, but it is going to be only a very brief look. We are not going to go too deep into it. So first is, as I said, it is influenced by two factors. One is going to be the tense, the other is then going to be the form in which it is being used. Now, we're not going to be dealing with this one because it is a plural form, and this too is a plural form. They will be then represented here. They will be represented here. The Z will then be coming here, and this is then going to come over here. I do not need a separate column. So only 5 columns, the forms in 5 columns is of importance for us. So we are then going to then come here, and what is it then that happens is, all verbs, if you notice, are ending with an en over here. The majority of the verbs. The reason for that is because verbs are going to be found in 2 states of being, 2 conditions. An infinite form, an unused form, or an infinite form, and then a used form, or then going to be a conjugated form, so, or a finite form, we call it. So, when I remove the en, what is left over here is then going to be called as the stem of the verb. We call it as the stem of the verb. The stem of the verb in the case of the regular verb is going to be identical from the top to the bottom. So you're then going to say, here is then going to be mark. And this is going to be mark, and this is going to be mark, and this is going to be mark. But unlike in the case of English, where we leave it like that and say, I make, you make, he make, she make, we make, they make, and we don't make any further this one. In the case of German, each one puts its own brand. This belongs to me. So the first one is going to be the ish, which is going to have an e at being attached to it. So you're going to say ish marker. Then du magst. You're going to have an st coming in. So this st is then going to be added at the end. Du magst. Was magst du? Oh, du magst nichts. You are, what are you doing? You're doing nothing. Okay, du magst nichts. Okay. Here, then they're going to be with a T form here. So you're going to then say macht. And wir is always going to have an en. The Z and the Z also are going to join in with the en over here. Sie machen, wir machen. So we make, they make. So this is then going to be machen. And ihr macht. So this is then going to be the form over here. Okay, so there you are. This is how it is then going to show itself. Okay. Now, so repeat the form of the conjugation for me. Repeat, say, ich mache.
Ich mache.
Du magst.
Du magst.
Er macht.
Er macht.
Wir machen.
Wir machen.
Ihr macht.
Ihr macht.
Now, this is going to be like a template for you. Wherever you go, thousands and thousands and thousands of regular verbs, you can very happily apply the same thing over here. Okay?
Okay.
Good morning. So, this is then going to be the form. So now you can apply this. So, if you want to say, I buy an apple. So, now go ahead and then tell me, ich kaufe.
Ich kaufe Apfel.
Einen Apfel.
Einen Apfel. Yeah.
Okay, I buy an apple. Now now anything he says good morning. So er sagt, du sagst, you say. So tum bol rahe ho. Du sagst. Okay.
Du sagst.
Now du sagst
Guten Morgen.
Du sagst er kommt. You say he is coming. Okay. Now when you come to this one, he listens to us. Er hört uns. Er hört uns. Er hört uns. Repeat.
Okay. What was that verb? I didn't get
it. Which is to listen.
Okay.
So it is, you're going to remove this. And in the case of the air, you're going to put the T. So you're going to say, er hört uns.
Okay.
It listens to us. It is not okay. I want you to please repeat.
Yeah. Er hört uns.
Very correct. Okay. So this is then going to be the one which is then going to come over here. Right. So this is applicable. What you are now seeing is applicable to all the regular verbs. Your job, by the time we meet next again on Tuesday, I would like you to then go through these 15 verbs over here. What you have now learned is a technique. You have not learned the meaning of what you are using. Obviously, it is necessary for you to grow a vocabulary, and we shall talk about vocabulary, and vocabulary meets the needs. How much of a vocabulary do I need? How many words should I learn is something we will talk about or discuss in our next session. In this session, we are now going to go to have a look at colors and shapes.
Okay.
So, do you go to work on Saturdays?
No.
Would you like to have a different timing on Saturday?
This is fine.
It leaves you free for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Now, back to this one here. Where is this one then? Yeah. Actually, he's trying putting the same colors over here, but the yellow is so faint you can't see it actually. Okay. So orange is then going to be orange.
Orange.
Okay. Pink is going to be rosa.
Rosa.
Violet or lila.
Violet. Lila.
Blau.
Blau.
Gelb.
Gelb.
Rot.
Rot.
Schwarz.
Schwarz.
Braun.
Braun.
Grau.
Grau.
Weiß.
Weiß.
Grün.
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 I told you when the U umlaut comes, you're going to say Y-O-U. Say
Grün.
Then turquoise.
Turquoise.
Beige.
Beige.
Silver.
Silver.
Gold.
Gold.
Right. Now comes the question of this one. So first is two-dimensional objects. So in a two-dimensional object, so here you then have a square. Das Viereck.
Das Viereck.
Eck is going to be corner.
Okay. 4 corners.
4 corners. So it's going to be called as a Dreieck. Then you're then going to have a They are circle. Der Kreis.
Der Kreis.
Important is trying to
Das.
remember the article with which it is then coming along. Okay, so then come here. We are then going to get a Dreieck.
Das Dreieck.
This Dreieck is obviously then going to be a triangle. Okay, now next one. What is then going to be a rectangle? Rectangle is going to be a rectangle. A rectangle is then known as a rectangle. Right angles. Okay, it's going to be a rectangle. Now, next one. Das oval. So, it is then going to be something which is going to be oval. Okay. Then das Achteck.
Das Achteck.
So as you can see from the word acht, it is then going to have, it's an octagon. It's going to be an octagon, and obviously it is then going to have, 8 sides which are then going to come for it. Well, basically, you understand.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Then these are all then going to be 3-dimensional figures. It's the same thing, repeating, but in 3 dimensions. So this, for example, is then going to be a picture of a cube. So this is then going to be a cube. So
Würfel.
So the cube is then known as a Würfel.
Würfel, yeah.
Der
Würfel.
So like a Zuckerwürfel, and you have an Eiswürfel. Eiswürfel is then going to be the ice cubes. So when you're playing games, then you're going to use a Würfel that is then going to be the dice.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Eiswürfel.
Kugel is then going to be a ball.
Okay.
So Kugel is then going to be a sphere, or it's going to be a ball. And then when you then come to...
So all balls are female then? Or foosball or...
Yes.
Okay.
No. The ball is then going to be masculine. They are ball.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be their foosball. So,
okay, but here we are using the Google.
Yeah. So this is then going to be a what do you call a 3-dimensional figure, a cone, similar to what you put on the islands and on the traffic signals. Atlantic.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, then cylinder is obviously what you are then going to have for a 3-dimensional. You are going to have. So this is then going to be the form of a cylinder. Okay, right. So they are cylinder.
Okay, how do you pronounce it?
They are cylinder. Z is going to have a T sound. Going to say cylinder.
Okay, but Y doesn't have any special sound, is it?
Not in this particular situation. But usually you're going to go with a U. Cylinder. Okay, you're going to say Zurian. So Syria is going to be called a Zurian. It has been influenced by the first one, which is then going to come. So here, because of the Z, it's not going to go too deep. It's going to be working like an I on V. You're going to then say cylinder.
Cylinder.
Right.
Okay.
Right, we stop over here for today, and we shall then be meeting again on Tuesday at our usual time. All the very best, and if you have the time and the inclination, I will give you a vocabulary site which you can then spend time on.
Okay.
So
I was trying to go through that living that workbook, but then we don't have sounds there, so that was...
sounds are not always available. And second thing here, this one is going to be, you have a choice of pictorial trainers. Okay, so you have a pictorial one. So you would like to learn about say anatomy. Alright, you can then come here and you find pictures of skin, hair, bones, teeth, muscles, tongue, mouth. Okay, so itla.
Okay. Yeah.
So lips, eyes, ears, heart, stomach, blood, brain, blah blah blah. ఇవన్నీ ఇక్కడ మీకు వస్తాయన్నమాట.
Okay.
So you can then use this particular one to learn about specific things. If you go back to all the topics, okay, you want to learn about, say, computers, you want to learn about clothes, you want to learn about this. So it is then going to have the different forms over here that you are going to be having. What would you then call it, and so forth.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Good. Yeah.
All the best and have a great time, and I'll catch up with you the day after tomorrow. I'm sorry, on
Okay.
Tuesday.
On
Yeah.
Tuesday. Yeah. On Dine Stock.